Good afternoon, class. Today I've presented for you a class on forcible entry. I got this training approved by admin and VCs to be a part of our ongoing learning for not only us as a crew, but also the other stations around the department. You guys are the first crew that is getting this curriculum, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. In regards to how I set up the classroom, I made sure that we had proper light, we had good visual aids. I didn't have any distracting things on the wall so that you guys can get the optimum learning experience from myself. Before we get started, I would like to have you guys sign in, and I'm going to document all of this stuff into eLogic, where we do put in our training hours, so you guys will be accounted for in this regard. The temperature all right for you guys in here?
Yep.
Perfect. Check that prior to the start of class as well. Perfect. Thank you. Cheers. And also, I want to hand out some scratch paper just in case you guys would like to take notes. It's completely optional, but again, I want you to be able to have that. Topic we'll be going over is forcible entry on inward and outward swinging doors with the set of irons, okay? Just a bit of housekeeping. Exits are behind me, down the stairs into the bay. You got bathrooms through this door, and then I ask if you guys can turn off your cell phones or silence them so that we limit the distractions, okay? We'll take breaks as you guys need them. You guys just let me know, so that's no problem. Again, my name is Brian Lane Jr. I've been with the Renton Regional Fire Authority for about 3 years now. And here's my contact info. If you guys need to get a hold of me, pass this information. If you have, any questions or anything that, kind of festers on in your mind about clarity or whatever, just let me know. I put my phone number, station phone number there, and then my direct email, okay? The overview in which we'll be going over for this topic is going to be PPE, tools used, sizing up the door, terminology, and forcible entry progression on both inward and outward. We'll review as a verbal quiz, and then we'll go outside and do a skills evaluation, which will be our tactile component of it. And then we'll do a written test, and once we do that, I'll grade you guys individually, in private, go over your scores, give you feedback, place that into your personal folder, and then these will be placed into eLogic where all of your training is kept, okay? From there, we would be in our conclusion. I'll conclude with any questions, again, tell you guys, where you can contact me and how you can contact me, and we'll go ahead and get started. You guys ready?
Yep.
Perfect. The goals and objectives of this particular class is going to be that you guys understand what the irons are. You understand the anatomy of the Halligan, and you understand the purposes and the advantages that you can get out of them, okay? Also, we want to be familiar with the terminology that we use in forcible entry to where it's a seamless process. We want our jargon to be the same across the board, whether you're working at station 11 or you're working at station 16. You want everything to be in a safe manner, efficient, so our terminology and everything should be on the same accord, okay? Why is this important? Forcible entry is something that is a skill. It's not something that comes natural, so you need to know how to use the tool. You need to practice this skill set in order to be proficient at it, okay? And so forcible entry is defined as technique used to get in or out of buildings or other areas of confinement when normal means of entry are locked or blocked, okay? And so forcible entry does not particularly mean a set of irons you can use, chainsaw, you can use a K-12, but in particular today, we're going to talk about how to force entry with a set of irons. And again, it can be challenging and a dynamic task, but given the skill set that we're going to present today, you take that methodical step approach on how to defeat these doors, you'll be good to go. An important note is that in emergent situations where rescue or prevention of fire spread is involved, there should be little consideration in property conservation. As firefighters, we do our best to conserve property, but in the event that you have to do forcible entry, you're going to be breaking a lot of stuff, and it just needs to be done so we can complete our objective. So, as far as training purposes, the proper PPE for this is going to be turnout gear, helmets, gloves, ear, and hearing protection, or eye protection, sorry. For the sake of today, because of the weather conditions, it's a bit hot, we won't put you guys in turnout gear, but we will have helmet, gloves, eye pro, and ear pro at a bare minimum, okay? The tools that we're going to be using, a set of irons, are going to be the Halligan and a flathead axe. So here you have a flathead axe. You're going to more or less use it as a striking tool in order to get your tool buried into the door. And you also have the blade in where it's going to be a good wedge in order to capture your progress. The Halligan, this is a 30-inch bar. Looking at the anatomy of it, you have your adze, you have your pike, you have your forks, the bevel end of the fork, and then you have the crotch, which is in between the two forks. You have your shoulders here, and some people like to square these shoulders off because in low vis, when you can't see, you can guide your axe on the surface of this and still bury your tool into the door, okay? So talking about mechanical advantage with the tool, the best mechanical advantage for this tool is going to be here on your adze with that 2-inch spread over 30 inches. That's going to give you a 15-to-1 ratio. Now, if you go and use your tool in this fashion, the side-to-side fashion with the adze, which is over a 5-inch length, that's going to give you a 6-to-1 ratio. And then here, when you go to finish your door with between the adze and the pipe, that's about 5 inches, so that'll be another 6-to-1. And then on your forks, you're about 4.5 inches there. So that's going to be about the same as if you were going to use your adze in this fashion. This is just going to allow you to get to different places of the door, whether that be inward or outward, okay? Door size up is important. You have a metal frame, a metal door, a wood door, metal frame, a metal door on a wood frame. So being able to identify those things is important. It won't necessarily change your approach to the door, but it will allow you to know, is this going to be a harder task to complete or is it going to be a little bit easier? You have exposed hinges. Exposed hinges are indicative of an outward swinging door. If you don't have any hinges, which is what's on the left, you're going to have an inward swinging door. So those are two illustrations that can help you to differentiate the two. Another safety consideration is, do you have heat? Are you going to an IDLH? What's on the other side of that door? Those are all things to account for when you're gaining entry, because if you have smoke or flames coming out, you need to be protected by a hand line. And then most importantly, is the door unlocked. We talked about property conservation. If we go in with the mindset of forcible entry, it doesn't mean destruction all the time. You want to make sure that that door is not open. We can simply go in and open that door. We're good to go. So the terminology we'll be using, the philosophy and approach towards forcible entry is gap set force. So we're trying to gap, create as much purchase as we can. We'll set our forks or our adze into the door so that we can then force the door. Any bit of purchase that we get, we're going to wedge that. And we'll talk about that in the commands. So the simple commands that we will use are 4 commands, plain and simple. There's no, confusion on what we do. Hit is going to be 1 single hit. Drive is going to be a continuous hit. Stop means completely stop hitting everything that you're doing. And then wedge, you're going to hold that gap with either a wood or aluminum wedge, or you're going to use the blade of the axe. So looking at our progression on how we force doors. For an inward swinging door, which would have no exposed hinges, you're going to bury your adze into the jamb between the door and the stop, and you're going to pry in this motion, right? And you always want to pry against the away from the pike, because if I do this, my tool is going to have a tendency to want to slip out. So you're going to use that 15-to-1 ratio, pry down and crush that door, try to get it to open that way. Whatever purchase point you get, whatever progress you get, again, we're wedging. So we're going to wedge that progress, and then from there, we're going to place our tool with the bevel in towards the jamb. And as we're holding this tool, I want to make sure as the person holding the Halligan that I'm in the safe position to where my elbow isn't out here, because in low vis and as I start to move this tool, if that person misses, they have a high likelihood of hitting my elbow. So we want to flip our hand, tuck our elbow, Once we're ready, we get visual confirmation. I'm gonna set my forks into the door based off of the progress that I've already got between gapping. And I'm gonna tell him to hit, and once I get into a good position, I'll have him drive. As I'm driving, I'm gonna move the tool. Once I get to the crotch of the forks, I will then say stop. I will look at my partner, because if we have our SCBA on and he can't hear me, I say stop and I look at him. I confirm that he knows that I'm stopping. So that way when I go to do my next move, he's not still swinging and potentially hits my arm or something, okay? So, get that visual stop. Boom. I'm gonna pry the door this way. I'm gonna wedge my progress, take the tool out, flip the forks. And then when you go this way towards the door, it's imperative that you have your palms open so that you don't crush your fingers, okay? If that doesn't force the door, then we're gonna wrap our adze around the back of the door, and then we're gonna crush in that 15-to-1 ratio, and then we'll finish the door with either our pike and adze or just the adze, okay? And then after you force your door, you wanna control that door because that is a flow path. For an outward progression, it's a little bit different. We're gonna try to gap our door and get a purchase point so that we can wrap our adze around the back. So again, we're gonna try the door before we pry. We're gonna size up our door. What kind of door do we have? Do we have heat? All that kind of stuff. And then for this, we're gonna place our adze in to the back of the door jamb or the door stop, and you're gonna try to crush that door. Now it's imperative that when you do place this tool, you don't place it at an angle because you can run the risk of skinning the door. Now if you skin the door, that's something that in and of itself is another task because you have to go and try to undo what you've already, the mess that you've created. So it's a good point to just have the forks touching the door. That'll give you a flush purchase point in order to not skin the door. Once you get to the back of the jamb, you're gonna crush up and down in this fashion. Once you do that, you'll then have your partner drive the adze in around the back of the door. You'll try to get your throw there, and then once you go down, you get that 15-to-1, and you should be through the door, okay? Now obviously we're controlling our flow path by getting the door. Things to consider. If we're forcing the door on the fire ground, we should go over 5 checklists every time we force the door, and those 5 are life, fire, layout, we're listening, and then we're looking for lift, okay? These things will tell us a lot. As far as the life component, people go in the same way that they came out, or come out the same way that they went in. So if someone barely, got to the door and they were on their way out, but they went unconscious, and we start forcing that door and stuffing behind the door, it's imperative that we go and hook our foot, do a sweep, while looking at the other 5, but then also we do a tick sweep to get any heat signatures to where we can go in and grab someone and pull them out. We're looking for fire conditions. Do we see the fire? Is there any smoke, right? Looking at the layout of the house. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of split levels, a lot of ramblers. So we know the layout of most of those buildings. So just get a lay of the land. What do you see? You're listening. Do you hear any, snap, crackle, or popping? And then you're looking for lift. If you get a lot of smoke lift, you know that the fire's above us. If it banks down, we got something in the basement, okay? So now I'm gonna briefly review what we went over. I'll let you get your hands on the tools really quick and ask you some questions. And you can point to me where the adze is on the tool. The forks. When we use the tool in its proper, best mechanical advantage, what is that ratio?
15-to-1.
15-to-1, perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna go outside and do these skills tactfully. I'm going to observe you guys doing these skills, supervise the maneuvers you guys are gonna do, and you'll show competency in that regard. I'll provide feedback. So I'll meet you guys out on the
Ready?
So given the current times we're in, we're wearing masks for our safety and the public safety. And also given the temperature outside, we're not in our turnout coats or turnout boots, but we do have ear pro, eye pro, and helmets on at a bare minimum with our gloves.
Okay. Sizing up my door. Make sure I got, it's an inward swinging door, I got no hinges. So I'm gonna be able to flex it, try to get an opening, check for heat. if I have any heat in there. No heat. Try to get in there, get a purchase point. Okay, get ready to strike. Hit. 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 Okay, stop. Now I'm going to get a purchase. Stop now. Yeah, or wedge. Wedge. Okay, good. Wedge. Wedge. Right near the hinge, okay? Got it? Okay. Okay. And okay, hit. 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 Drive. Okay, hold it up. Switch it. Okay, wedge. Okay, wedge. Be ready to go in.
Perfect. So you did a great job with your size up again. You went through the progression flawlessly. And you did your 5 checkpoints after you made entry. You checked for live fire, layout, listen, and lift. And then you controlled your door for flow path. So great job.
Thank you. Okay, doing my door size up. I don't see any hinges, so that's indicative of an inward swinging door. I'm going to check for heat. I don't feel any heat. I got my door. I try before I pry. Nothing there. Take my ads in. Try to give me a purchase point. See if I can get in there. No flex. So I can get some kind of gap or wedge. Try to wedge. Okay. Okay. Wedge some more. All right. Hold. Double end in. Okay, go ahead and unwedge. Okay. Go ahead and hit. 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 Drive. Good. Stop. Looking at the hitter, make eye contact. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to force the door. So I got that. Go ahead and cap. Okay. Turn it over. Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead and wedge. Take my ads end in. Look, listen, layout, light, check behind the door, then get my stuff on.
So that was great. You sized up the door very well. You noticed what you had. You had a metal frame, metal door, no exposed hinges, indicative of an inner swinging door. I like the way you came up. You tried before you pried. You checked for heat, and then you got right to your progression. You went your ads. You tried to gap the door. You called for a wedge, and then you started to set your forks into the door, bevel into the jam. You forced the door, got a wedge. You flipped, got into the door. You maximized your throw with the 15-to-1 with your ads. Got through the door. You checked for your 5 checkpoints: live fire, layout, listen, and lift. So you passed. Good job.
Okay, sizing up my door. I got exposed hinges over here, so I've got outward swinging. Check for heat. Check for carriage bolts. If you got have any drop hardware inside, I don't have any. So I'm gonna get up there, make a spot. So, hey, hit, 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 hit. Okay, hold. Make some space. Up and down. Okay, wedge. Okay, I'm going to get this around to the back side of that. Okay, hit. Okay, stop. Okay, now I'm going to actually get some space on it. Okay, wedge. Okay, I'm going to make some space. Right forward, left, hook, left, listen. Right on, control the door. And we're ready to go in.
Perfect. Say you passed, you did a great job using the full mechanical advantages of the tool. You worked on the end of the tool, you worked through your progression great, and you had good communication with your commands. Great job.
Okay. So I'm checking my door. I see that it's outward swinging. I see hinges, so I'm looking here. I don't see a drop bar. I don't see any carriage bolts. Don't feel any heat. So we'll go ahead and try to get my gap. Go ahead and give it a hit. Hit. Stop. Okay, gonna try to. Okay, go ahead and wedge. Okay, gonna get my bevel through. Okay, go ahead and pull. Pull it out. Go ahead and wedge.
Did a great job utilizing your tool again. You did great with your commands. So you passed. Great job. So now I've provided for you guys a test. If you can, take your notes off of your desk. And I'll also provide you numeracy pencils. Once you're done, flip your test over, I'll come over and collect them from you. Flip the test over for me, please. Great, easy. Zach, if you can step out of the room, that would be great. So T, you got a 5 out of 5, you did great.
Sweet. Thank you.
Again, perfect.
All right.
If you wouldn't mind going to get that for me, please.
All right. Hey, Zach, come on in.
Hey, Zach, so you got a 5 out of 5. You showed great competency on this material. Great job. All right, OT, if you want to come back in. So, again, I want to provide you with contact information for myself. I'm stationed at Station 11, so that's the station phone number you can reach me at. And then I provided my email, so feel free to, if you have any questions, to email me past this, okay? Are there any questions right now that you guys would like to cover?
No, great job. Yep, thank you.
Perfect. So, again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming and attending this training. I hope you got a good benefit out of it. Again, let me know if you have any questions.